about that. I got the phone call and then the live ticker was not moving and there was a still photo of me. So I was like, I've got to be frozen. Like, so we'll see if anybody jumps back in here. We were having a good conversation going, so. We shall see. I hate that when you have an or live that's ended and then. Hey, Tango. Yes, I'm back. I wanted to finish this because hey, Don, I thought we were having a good convo. So, yes, Trucker, back live again. Trucker Hershey. So, it's hard for me to imagine going back and taking away all of the smart technology. And then Fairywire, she was talking about, be authentic, be you. Yeah, John, I figured that's what was happening after that. I thought, I don't know if YouTube is that sensitive where a phone call comes in. I thought if I just hit decline on the phone call, it would resume, but whatever. I guess it is what it is. So, whoever you are, just be you. I will also think, I also think that the pandemic, when people were forced to go home and work differently and, hey, Taco, I think that allowed people to figure out who they really were and how they wanted to show up in the world, whether they didn't like who they were and wanted to change, or they liked who they were but they weren't living fully. I like myself, which is probably why I can be a truck driver too. I'm okay with being alone because I really like being alone with myself. Yeah. I'm okay. I'm okay with that. But I think we're all charged with having different conversations with people interested in trucking going forward. Makes sense. It's only right. And I think it's our responsibility. Now, okay, so I saw a post the other day about the mandate for truckers for vaccination. And I'm not trying to get political. Trust me on this one. I'm just looking for information. Tango, Faith has been really good. Wait, those of you that were in here before, I got to temper that down. She gets me where I need to be. How has the company been since we last heard from you? Loads consistent and paying good. So I'm an owner-op and I'm leased on to a very small company. I look for my own loads. I book my own loads. I have the conversations with the broker, both from negotiation and then, going forward, like while I'm loaded, I'm the one that receives the check calls and all of that. Hello, Henry. So from my angle, loads are really good. But, you guys, I became a master certified broker or certified master broker. Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that, let me go back. Associate minister and reserve deacon. Wow, now I'm intimidated. Warning, I sometimes swear. No, I haven't been with Prime since March. I completed my lease contract with them, turned the truck in. I bought my own truck and I've suffered a number of breakdowns, but those are behind me. And yeah, I've been out here. Yeah, I mean, I think you got to find out what kind of support you need. I will say that going from a mega carrier to your own authority, unless you had an enormous amount of knowledge and support, like network, like in the industry, other truckers, that sort of thing, that's a huge leap. Oh, thanks, Shoestring. Be safe out there. I appreciate you stopping in. Because there's so much that you do not know. I mean, I in a cocky way, I thought I knew a lot when I was with Prime. Like when I left Prime, I'm like, yeah, I could do this. And then my first breakdown, and I instantly, like automatically, almost robotically wanted to call Road Assist, which was no longer available to me. That was a Prime thing. And with the company that I leased onto, it's not like I jumped over to Landstar, which would have similar resources. I went to a very small company that doesn't have a fuel card, that doesn't have a road assist, that doesn't have service techs. That, I mean, I'm essentially using their authority. That's who I'm with. That's the kind of company I'm with. There was nobody for me to call. So you have to understand and humble yourself, because I did not, although I had a great belief in myself, what you can take on. And I would say, if you want to leave a mega carrier or your company or whatever, and you want to get your own truck, I would lease on to somebody and learn all of the additional things, and then make your leap out on being an owner op, if that's your ultimate goal. I'm not telling you to do that. How much capital you would suggest to have jumping to owner op? Well, it depends on your situation. It depends on, if you have a truck note, you need to be able to cover that for a good while. If you have a more expensive truck and you require a different skill set, you have to be able to afford that. Hey, Attitude. So it's, you'll hear everyone say from, 10,000 to 50,000 should be your cushion. I wouldn't say that that's wrong. I would say that's a huge, range, and you should figure out where you sit within there, because if you are the only breadwinner, especially, and you are the trucker, and now you are broke down, how do you pay your bills at home? How do you survive without your tool, your truck, making that money? Then you have to have the money to fix that truck, and maybe you have truck payments happening while your truck is sitting broken down. That's why I'm saying, like, it's very individualized. So you should think through, like, what are your expenses, and plan for those things. I'm not the only breadwinner in my family, and I had an older truck, and you know what I mean? Like, my truck is paid off, and my situation is different than somebody that has a 2021 off the dealership floor, and what they have is or is not covered under warranty. Chris Davids, I'm 55 and coming into trucking my new career after 30 years of being a cabinet maker. Chris, okay, I don't know if you're on our last live that just ended, but boy, oh boy, we want to hear from you, because Chris, what makes you want to get into trucking? Because you are the exact person that we want to talk to right now. Like, why, Chris, do you want to get into trucking and leave your career of being a cabinet maker? So please feel free to comment away. So, but yes, it is very, very important for you to have a cushion. Figure out what it is. I don't think you have to have 50 grand. But if your truck, if your lifestyle requires that, if you have a breakdown, if you're down for several weeks, a month, I mean, parts are harder to come by, then maybe it is 50. You run for a smaller company, but I think we need to look for a company that has a cheaper percentage. What's your percentage now, if I can ask? Your wise wisdom, uncommon common sense, wise life. Thank you for sharing your wise wisdom, uncommon common sense, and wise life. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. You guys, if I'm mumbling like that, I'm just reading comments to myself. So, the company that I'm with, it's 25%. I book my own loads. I use their trailer, and I don't have a trailer fee. I carry my bobtail insurance. Okay, yeah, that's what I do is 25%. I carry the bobtail insurance, but they carry all the other cargo and all of that insurance. So, you know, when I put it down on paper, you know, and compare the two, paying them 25% versus being on my own authority and paying my own cargo and that sort of thing, for me, because of how much I make every week, I would make more money. Well, I pay them more than I would pay if I had my own insurance. It's something you've always wanted to do. You're divorced and you want to see America, afraid of hard work. Okay, you guys, I'm going to open this up to the other truckers. Chris wants to see America. He's 55 and coming into trucking. Any suggestions, tips, advice, things for him to think about? Yeah, I keep 75% of my load. So, you know, I pay them 25%, but again, like I said, I have my own load board subscriptions. I book all my own loads. I negotiate all my own loads. You know, so some easy ways for me to, I mean, I can have my own factoring company. I can be paid like that in hours too. My insurance, you know, per month would run me around 2,200. You know, cargo at 100 grand. You know, the standards, right? But the one thing that I was saying before is, you guys, I became a certified master broker back in, it was either February or March. I learned a ton, a lot. And I use what I learned to negotiate with these brokers. Now, I'm not always dealing with brokers. There are some direct shippers. So John, right now, like, it is dependent on the area, right? I mean, we all know that there's some areas that will pay less. But normally I got this really good gig that goes from Minnesota to Ohio, you know, like somewhere between 900 and 1,100 miles. And I have this weekly, for the most part. And it takes me a day and a half to run. And it usually pays like 5,800. But I just finished it because they had me do an extra stop, and it was an extra 50 miles. That 5,800 turned into 7 grand for a day and a half. Because the extra stop, what happened was, one of my, the delivery I was supposed to make, he said that the broker did not finish the appointment. So they said, you'll have to come back in 2 days. And I went, I'll call the broker. So the broker arranged for me to drop it off at another cold storage area, and then they would go back and make delivery. But for me to take it to that cold storage, they paid me $1,000 for 53 miles. So that, and then I had $200 detention at one place. So that's how I went from 58 to 7 grand for a day and a half, about 1,100 miles. And then I have some really good guys, if I want to shoot right back and go back home to Minnesota. I have I met the owner of the company. He likes me, and yeah, he looks out for me. So that's good too. Yeah, Tango, go ahead. Yeah. The one I took was an in-person, so it was not cheap. But they do have options. But I'm telling you guys, you know, you get what you pay for, right? So that whole broker training. Now, the guy that I took the class from, he said it was his last class. I don't know if he's still teaching it or not. But he spoke to me as a carrier, as a broker, and with this knowledge, you can dispatch for for other drivers, right? And you can dispatch without having a brokerage. Now, if you want to be a broker, you need a brokerage, and that requires its own authority besides your carrier authority. Like, you cannot be a broker under your carrier authority and vice versa. The FMCSA wants two separate entities. So, but they teach you all of that as well. And then if you want to be an agent, that means that you do brokering work, but you work under a brokerage. That's where you become an agent. So, Landstar has agents. So, but really good stuff. I'm happy to share, what I've learned. I'm not trying to take money from the brokers. I'm trying to get what's mine. And because I know what they're playing with, I know I can get more, and I know I deserve more. Yeah, absolutely. Everybody wants an edge on negotiating. I would totally agree with you. I totally agree with you, Tango. And sometimes the mere fact of you saying, oh, cool, I'm also certified as a broker. Because the class that I attended, they are the only school where you can call yourself a master certified broker if you complete the training. It's the only school. Only school. So you can't pay $50 and take an online course and call yourself a master certified broker, because they have trademarked that term. And it's the only school that allows you to do that. And it stands for something, right? It was a week-long class, and it was full days, and I worked in their brokerage. I, wheeled and dealed with truckers as the broker, made those calls, and it was pretty cool. I learned, like I said, I learned a lot, and that's really given me, I want to say it's given me the edge out here. I can also snuff the bullshit better. Michael, 75%, and what, if any, are your fees? Are you, so I keep 75% of the load, and what do you mean by fees? Like, I fuel, I pay for all my own fueling, scaling, tolling, all of that. But I run my truck differently. I'm not 75 open wide because I can. I'm not governed in this truck. And my first 2 weeks out, I figured out, like, why I will not be running at 75. When your MPG drops down to like 4.5, 5 gallons, or 5 miles per the gallon, you're like, oh, you can keep it, Hammerlane. Go ahead. Not me. I want more money in my pocket. I'm greedy that way. I do not have any trailer fees. I pay for bobtail insurance right now. I have it through Progressive. Sure, could I go out and get a cheaper rate elsewhere? Sure, but I haven't done that yet. So right now my monthly bobtail is $411. He started out with nothing and an orange mega carrier and only survived those first few years with their financial assistance. Now I own my own truck and wouldn't feel safe without 30 to 50,000 minutes. Okay, so there you go. That's a good perspective from DO. Or is that a 0? I think that's DO. Yeah, like, you just got to figure it out. If you're like a trucker style Sean, and I don't know if he's still in here, but the guy's got incredible mechanical diesel knowledge, you could probably get away with a far less cushion, because a lot of the stuff you can do on your own, you can fix on your own, you can, you know what I mean? And that's, really where you cut your teeth, is the breakdowns. Some people can fix this stuff on their own to a degree. Some people can do it. There's a woman on TikTok. I think it's OG Boss Lady, or somebody might watch her. This girl works on trucks. Like, she knows what the hell she's doing. It's almost intimidating. No, it's not almost, it is. It's intimidating to know, to see what she knows and to see what she does. Hey, William. I am doing great. Jake is at home. He had to go to the vet and he has surgery on the 15th. It's minor surgery, but still, he had a, I don't know if you guys remember, but he had a little teeny, like smaller than my pinky nail, skin tag that was developing like right in his chest. And just over time, you just forget it's there until you see it again. And you're like, oh yeah, we need to cut that off. And I should have did the old like fishing line, tied it tighter and tighter, and then it would just have fallen off. It would have lost its blood supply. But it's now, you guys, probably the size of my thumb, like fully engulfed, fluffy. And it's just, now he knows it's there and it's starting to bother him and he's starting to gnaw on it. So I said, oh my God, he's got to come off the truck. My husband took him into the vet and the vet said, okay, let's do his labs. Let's see where he's at with his blood, and let's schedule him for surgery if the labs come back okay. So he took him in. I just got an email today. The labs are good. His blood count is good. He's got something's higher. Either the hemoglobin count is higher or the red cell count is higher, but he said, I'm okay with it because the other one's normal. So I forget what the email says, but he said he's a good candidate for the surgery. They'll put him under, remove the mass. And then I said, Jake is not cut out for the cone, right? The cone is the plastic thing you put over their head so they can't, bother their stitches and healing and all that. Jake, I'm telling you what, left to his own devices, he will knock the crap out of that cone to get it off his, neck and head. And so I guess there's this thing, it's called a onesie, that you put over the dog, especially if it's in the chest areas, and they can't, then that protects them, they can't get at it. So I asked the vet if they sold those and he said no, but a lot of times what people will do is buy a small child size shirt and put that over their dog. So that's what we're gonna do. Okay, where are we at? Netting 3.5 thousand at prime after everything, worth leaving for spot market. I think you have to figure out if that's worth leaving for spot market. So are you teaming? Are you training? Think about what you're currently doing to get that income. The spot market is a gamble, right? Because you're either relying on the dispatch company that you're working with to get you the most, or you're trying to get yourself the most. And you're also trying to learn the freight lanes. You're also trying to learn the seasonality of the different commodities. And you need to know where you're going into and the risks that you have with deadheading out to get a better rate, to get a better load, to reposition yourself. So, I mean, I make a lot more than that on the spot market, but it's hard for me to say. I used to share more about money, but then I realized it's so subjective to a person's lifestyle. Hey, Luis, and what's maybe good for me is not good for you, and what is great for you is not at all good for me, right? So, hi, I'm in Florida right now. So, hello in California. So, I'm realizing that trucking is, and the expectations and what you get out of it is so individualized. So individualized. Hello from the road. Bianca, where are you at? Mama Do, what advice you wish you knew when you started trucking or you would give to someone starting in trucking? What advice do I wish I knew? It's hard. Probably, for my experience in training, I went to a training company, so I didn't have to pay for my training. But I hopped on my trainer's truck, which was a complete stranger. And because I didn't want to wait around for a female trainer, I went on a male trainer's truck. And living and working, and the stress of living and working with your trainer on his truck, not yours. You're given a space, and you have to respect his space and his things. It will test every being, every part of who you are. It will be uncomfortable. It will be prepare yourself for the training. I will just say this: prepare yourself for the training that you're going to go through. If you're going to live on a stranger's truck with that person, how long are you going to live on that person's truck? And then, we were able to somewhat interview our trainer and vice versa. You ask a few questions, kind of pick up their vibe. Like, how are you really going to know? I mean, your whole goal is you just want to get in, get your CDL, get your own truck, right? You want to get through the process. So a lot of times you sacrifice things to get through the process. Training with someone was my worst experience. It's the hardest. It's my worst experience too. I had to get my CDL, so like when you have your permit up until you test, I had one trainer. For my over the road, I had two trainers. The first one I was with for maybe 4 days, and I'm like, no, get me off this guy's truck. And the second one was hell. I'm not gonna lie, it was hell. My husband called Prime several times to get me off that truck. And when it came towards the end of my training, I was at my wit's end. I mean, I look back at the videos during that time, you guys, you can see the stress on my face. I looked sick. I did. I looked sick. I had such acne breakout. Like, I was stressed. But I learned a lot from those days too. But towards the end, I just dug my heels in. I said, I just got it. One more week. I can do this for one more week. I can do it. I can do it. My biggest relief was getting my own truck. And then that was also my biggest panic time. So what did the guys do to you? So I will say that I was never physically harmed. It was never anything like that. It was the amount of ownership that he felt he had over me on my 10-hour break or my 30-minute break. And by that I mean, like, I wasn't allowed to be on the phone, on headset or otherwise, when I was driving and training. So when I would take my 30-minute break, I would grab my phone and then I would go and catch up with family. And he would be yelling at me from across the parking lot, "Who are you talking to? Get over here." Who in the do you think you're talking to? That was, and then he would get close and say it again, and my husband would be like, "Put him on the phone." I'm like, no, I'll handle this. It becomes a very, like, my husband struggled not to physically harm the guy. Like, I remember when I came home one time, my husband came to pick me up where my trainer was dropping me off, and I said, "Please don't get out of the car." Because he knew of all of the stories that I had been sharing with him about everything that I was going through and everything this trainer said and did and all of this. And my husband just wanted to knock his block off. And I said, please just let me finish this. It'll, you know what I mean? Prepare yourself for training. And I'm not going to say that if just because you're a female and get a female, or just because you're a male and get a male, that doesn't make it any easier. Training is difficult. Just from the learning aspect of it, it's so difficult. But if you can find your strength from within, stick to it, because it can pay off. You know, you will get out of this industry what you put into it. So if you really want to do this and you have the right reasons why, and you've done your research and you've made your decision, then no matter what, you get through your training, whether you have to go through 5 trainers, and let's hope that's not the case. Because at some point, this will be your own, you'll be in your own thing. But I was not prepared for it, because I had been a national trainer in corporate. And if I had conducted myself in a corporate manner, the way I was trained on a truck, I probably would have been sued. Again, I wasn't physically harmed, but it was bad. It was bad, you guys. It was bad. So let's see what else. I'm still a company driver, so do you recommend me to get my own truck? It's way better money. Angel, what I will say is you have to determine if you should get your own truck. There are people that love being company drivers, that is a great fit for them. I don't think that it's great for everybody to have their own truck and have their own authority. I don't think that's a good fit. Only you can decide if you should have your own truck. I mean, I wish there was, you know, a magic ball or a crystal that I could do and go, you know, I once dreamed that I was going to own a bunch of trucks. That's changed. That's changed because I know the industry much better now. I don't want more depreciable assets. So it's not to say that I'm not going to have trucks. I'm just telling you, I'm not going to have more depreciable assets. There's a way to do trucking without owning a truck. So stay tuned for that. What else did I miss here? 3 days and had to bounce out. Lady was pooping while I was driving in the back after we just left a truck stop. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Bianca. I don't have words for that, because I hear lots of stories around the use of the bathroom on the truck while in training. Yeah, that was never okay on my truck. Both from when, I mean, I never experienced that. As far as I know, when I was a trainee, and certainly as a trainer, no. I mean, did I have a flushable toilet on my truck? Yes, but it was not for number 2. At any point, at any time, no matter if I was driving by myself in a solo truck or training. No. Yeah, I can imagine, Bianca. I can. And it's things like that that are really hard for you to get past. Sedgwick, you want to get into trucking. You just subbed. Well, thank you very much for the follow. And if you can, answer us why you want to get into trucking. Did you collect your end of lease money with Prime, like the 20 grand or whatever it is? I did collect. I want to say, so I had 28,000, I think, in my, I want to say, I can't remember the exact numbers, but I think it was around that. But then my mom passed in February, and right before, I mean, because it was sudden, even though she had been declining for a while. But I was supposed to return my truck February 8th. So before that, I asked them to extend it. So I extended my lease for like 4 or 5 weeks. My mom passed, and then my truck literally sat in my driveway for 4 weeks while I took time off to grieve. So I had 4 weeks of truck payment that were outstanding. So when I returned the truck, of course, they billed me for the repairs, and then they took out what I owed them for going in the hole. It was really nice that they allowed me to go in the hole to that degree. So I think, oh, you guys, I want to say that I got like 21,000, somewhere in there, I think. And it would have been, or maybe it was 19, somewhere within 19 and 21. But again, if I had stayed running, and if I had not, and plus another 4 or 5 grand. Hey, no hippie, I got to reach out to you. I have a favor. 26, then you got 22. Well, thank you, Taco. I knew somebody would have the numbers. Every story is not the same. Your story could be different. I've trained over 100 people in my time, and I treated everyone with respect, and the stranger thing is something we all had to go through. No, I'm not saying that my story from training is the norm. I'm saying it's the hardest thing you're going to do, because you live on a stranger's truck. So you live with them, you work with them, you eat with them. Everything you do is with a complete stranger, and they're also your trainer, and you're also in their space. So that's what makes it difficult, regardless of anything else. That is difficult, especially if you come in as an adult who is used to having your own space, your own things, your own time, your own this, your own that, whatever. That's still difficult. Ooh, Mamadou, what are your goals in trucking for the next year? Here's the hard part. I've achieved some of my goals, but I can't talk about them yet. And then the things that I am looking to do, I can't share with them till I do them, because it's a very competitive world, and I have people that watch every move I make, whether they will agree with that or not, and they're trying to outpace me, outrun me, outsmart me, outwit me. I mean, think about Survivor. So I have to keep what I'm doing closer to my vest for now. But I'm pretty sure that I'll blow your mind. Pretty sure. Because I think what people thought isn't what I'm going to do. And then what I am doing will have accomplished. People were like, what? I didn't even know you could do that. Yes, there's that too. So when I can share, I will share. And when I share, I will share. But for now, I got to stay out in front. Let's see. Sorry, your mom was a star for a minute channel way back. Bless you, about. Yeah, she's very much still a sweetheart, and I love her to death. I had a breakdown this morning where I thought about her and cried, and I have those days. Hi, Harry, how are you? No, hippie, you must be on break. You're about to get those adult beverages. Yes, I heard you were at the Oasis. What year's your Pete? Mine's a 13. Happiness by the mile is mind-blowing status. So I don't follow her. I know sort of her story. So by status, what does that mean? Where did he go? I wanted to see if he answered his question about, or the question about why he wanted to. I'm scrolling backwards, you guys. Sorry, I'm trying to. You said my name right, too. I want to get into trucking to save a little money for a house. Okay, so I was just talking to one of my female counterparts out here, because you have no idea how much money you're going to spend out here. Like, truckers spend a lot of money on the daily, from fueling to gloves, tools, fluids, to eating, to drinking, to showers, parking, like you name it, right? So it's great to have the goal to save money, to save up for the house. Make sure that you have a budget in which you want to live by out here so that you stick to it. Because if you think that you're gonna, well, if you want to come out here and eat every meal out, right, at a restaurant, at a truck stop, you can easily blow $100 a day. Easily, just on food. Times that by 7. Times that by 30 in a month if you stay out for a straight month. I love people who have goals. I love people who have plans on how to get there. I love it when people check mark their milestones, complete their goals. I love all of that. And I'll also say, if you have a goal and you don't have a plan, that's just a dream. But if you have a goal and you have a plan, that'll make all the difference. That'll make all the difference, my friends. Gosh, you guys, I feel like I'm preaching. Hey, Dixie, I'm heading your way. Well, in a couple days, I'll be in Minnesota. Keep these 2 truckers in mind when you go to the next level. You know that, Janae. Dirt Farmer, trucking for 6 months now. How is it going for you? No, hippie, you missed it. Bianca, or no. LaDawn Jones was talking about women are different and we need to soak. So, soak on, you guys. I will tell you, you guys, I haven't, you guys, I'm moving out of the city. I am so freaking excited. Where we live it's very much in the heart of all of the protests that were in Minneapolis. You know, my husband's shop took a hard hit. He wasn't the only one in that, like, it's not a mall strip area, but it's a business strip. They were all hard hit. Windows broken down, fires started. A Holiday gas station was burned to the ground, which is just literally right around the corner from a shop. But we're moving out of the city, and the place that we got has ample space for my truck and trailer, and not just on the grass or on the dirt. I mean, it's concrete. I actually have a place after 4 years of parking on city streets in Minneapolis and praying to God that my truck and trailer are okay, or leaving it at a truck stop and praying to God that it's okay. I actually can pull up to my house with my truck and trailer and safely park it there and get in and out. And I don't even know how to act. I don't even know what to think. I don't even know what to do with myself. I could care less if it had, I could care less if the house came with a butler, a housekeeper, a private chef, because none of that matters to the fact that I can park my truck and trailer It's a game changer for me. Yes. Okay, so I'm going back. Fail to plan is a plan to fail. You got that right. Cedric says I still have a plan. That's awesome. Okay. Oh, you're a flatbedder. You like it, Dirt Farmer? Oh, you guys, I gotta plug my phone in. I've always heard that flatbedding slows down a bit in the winter. Excuse my big palm. Unless of course you go southwest, to be able to continue to run certain loads. So tell us more about that. I give myself about $350, $400 a week to spend. I save about $1,000 a week. I team drive with the hubby. So the $350, is that like all inclusive, like food? I don't know if you do your hair, your nails, entertainment, all inclusive. Or is that just a food budget and then you like go grocery shopping with another budget at like Walmart, and then you buy hygiene stuff up from another budget? Let's give these guys an idea of what it takes. I'm going back. Rode through the following week. Making $1,600 a week off on weekends. So you're off every weekend, you make $1,600 a week. Oh, let me go. Well, good afternoon from Boise. How's it going, this trucker's life? Yep, we bought 5 acres for our trucks. Right? I saw that. You guys built your garage too out there. We bought 20 acres in Texas a couple months ago. We haven't done anything with the property. So we'll see. We'll see what happens down there, but country girl now. That's right. Hey, I got a, four-wheeler. I think that I'm so country and we have such a huge backyard that I may get back into snowmobiling. I may. I'm kind of excited about that. I'm like a little kid right now. Okay, I gotta get back. 0, we are having owner-op powwow. I must have missed that. 60 to 100 food budget, 2 weeks, cooking the trucks. That's the way to save money. That's right, this trucker's life. Kenware says, I agree, Nene. I did it 5 years ago. Purchased 5 acres with a house near a little country town. Got tired of rat race of the city. At one point, if you would have talked to me, like when I was at a certain level in corporate, if you had talked to me and said, you're moving to Chicago or you're moving to New York, I would have cried thinking I had gotten everything I wanted. Now, hell to the no. No. I do not want to be in the city anymore. Any city. I just don't. Let's see. Dirt Farmer, I'm company with $1,200 minimum per week. So that's a guarantee that you have? I might have missed that conversation. Oh, Bianca says all inclusive. That's really good. Yellowstone. Oh my gosh, what a beautiful area. Hope you don't deal with any inclement weather. Dirt Farmer says 25% on the gross after fuel costs. A lot of companies are doing that, like after fuel costs, and that's to incentivize the driver to have some teeth in the game when it comes to how you're running your truck for fuel, where you're fueling, how often you're fueling. That's the whole reason behind that. So you can make more if you can control the expenses of fuel on behalf of the company, the company that you're driving with. That's why that's done. To-do. And once a month, $300 budget for Walmart, $150 for me, $1 for... That's still really good. That is so good, Bianca. This trucker's life. Made chicken fettuccine Alfredo for lunch. Oh my gosh, that sounds delicious. I'm cold, so I'm looking for like a hot meal, even though I'm trying to diet. Yep, I cook too, way healthier. Absolutely agree with that. And chicken broth. Yum. We can our meals during home time and eat them on the truck. Oh my gosh, see, I need to get into that. I really, really do need to get into canning. Where I run, I am in Philly, Trenton, Camden, and New York City. I'm an owner-operator day cab outside of Philly. Torched, holy goodness. Much respect to you, my friend, because... no. Much respect to you. Because I have my husband's childhood friend that he grew up with used to run a local in the New Jersey area. Now he's an owner-op, and he drives, I think it's 95 down to Florida, up, back, forth, that sort of thing. Maybe a little more than that. I mean, you guys certainly know your way around, so you don't have to deal with a lot of crap that we deal with, because you know where to go. But my hat's off to you, my friend, because that is not something that I would want to do. Maybe doing a cooking live stream tomorrow, unapologetic semi-kitchen group on Facebook. All right, you guys, you see that? Unapologetic semi-kitchen group on Facebook. Maybe doing a live cook stream tomorrow. Cook stream. Well, there you go. Cooking live stream. So check it out. I'm gonna have to check it out too. Except when fuel is so high, it's tough. True. But it's, it's also about having the skin in the game. So when fuel's really low, that's when you get some payoff as well. So I see it from both sides. Fuel is crazy right now, but I pass the buck as much as possible. New house has its own canning room. Oh, wow. Or should I say? There you go. Texas Trader says, I do meal prep, but that only lasts 1 week. Still have to figure out weeks 2 and 3. So you're typically out for 3 weeks at a time? Is that what it is? When I used to be gone a lot longer, I mean, there was a point in time where I removed my passenger seat and we had a chest freezer in there, even when I was teaming with Sheila, if you guys remember that back in the day. And we would prepare our foods to be gone for 2-3 months at a time. And, I would make a crap ton of ground beef that was cooked up, but I would package it in smaller increments so that if I wanted that on my salad, like as a taco thing, I would take it out, put it in a bowl, add some taco seasoning, mix it up with a little bit of water, heat it up, and then I would put that on my salad, and that day it becomes a taco salad with the ground beef. Or I would turn around and put different spices on it, cut up a little bit of onion and whatever, put some pasta with it, and it becomes something else. So there's ways to do it. Yeah, I mean, it takes some thought and preparation, but you're on the right track. Chief Wiggum, have you driven an 18-speed long-nose Pete 379 before? No. I do not have a restriction on my license. I learned how to drive on a manual at Prime, and that was my entire training, was with a manual truck. I tested with a manual truck. But when I went to upgrade and get my own truck, they only had automatics available because Prime was completely switching their fleet over to automatics because they said the fuel mileage was better. So I didn't even have an opportunity to get into a manual when I got my own truck. I only had automatics. And I still remember this. You know what a truck's like when you get in an empty truck and it's massive, right? Because it's before you moved all of your stuff in. I remember getting in this truck for the first time because, again, my only experience has been on someone else's truck who's had all of their stuff in there, and then you add my stuff. That's a packed truck. And I'm like, oh my God, this thing is so big, right? And then I go in to start it up and move it, and I was like, where? I literally had to call the office and ask them, how do I work this truck? Like, I wanted to drive it around in the yard. I didn't know how to do it, you guys. It was an automatic, and I didn't know how to do it. It was the strangest thing ever. And I'll admit, I didn't know how to drive an automatic. So that I was driving those were Freightliners. I think both Freightliners. But there is a part of me that would love a manual truck again. There's something about it. I'm not a steering wheel holder by any means, but to me, driving a manual screams trucking. I'm not embarrassed about having an automatic. I don't feel less than, but it would be interesting for me to hop into a manual and see if I could get down the rhythm of the double clutch again. Who knows? Maybe one day. You guys, this has been one of the best lives for me personally than I've had in a while. You guys are so awesome. Invest in a second fridge from Walmart. Yes, I do know people that will put a second fridge on their top bunk if possible. Oh, no hippie. Listen to him at the Oasis. I gotta go get in my tub and then get my Bombay Sapphire Dirty Martini on. Yes, I'm making fun of you. Rough and tough trucker over there getting his Sapphire Martini. Do you, Lyle? I'll be in touch. Like I said, I need a favor. Only the Lonely says, do you miss Prime? I miss certain aspects of Prime, that's no lie. I still keep in contact with some Prime drivers, but there's nothing like driving through certain states, knowing that you have a respite of a terminal that you can go to, and those were hella terminals. I'm telling, nobody can compete with their terminals, and I kid you not. I kid you not. And I also miss the massive resources that Prime provided. Now, maybe it was too much. Maybe it handicapped me in the long run. But while I was there, did I enjoy it? Yes. Did I realize how much enjoyment I had or how much was available to me at the time? Probably not so much. But now being away from Prime, they have a lot to offer. Let me just say that. It's a mega carrier for sure. Hey Glenn, how are you? Torched your day cab as a manual. Oh, yeah, I kind of want a manual. Backing up can be tough. I have backed up well in really tight places. I recently took out a water pipe and a layer of brick. I feel discouraged. How many times have you hit an object backing up? So this is what I'll say, Chief. Probably one of the worst accidents you can have is hitting a stationary object. Let me say that again. One of the worst accidents you can have is hitting a stationary object. Right? Because that's not like a deer hit you, and mind you, I said hit you, committing suicide. That's not like an encounter on the road with somebody that stopped too fast or turned in front of you or something like that. So when it comes to a stationary object, that makes it completely 100% preventable. And we all know what that means in the trucking world. I have hit, I was pulling into a parking lot, and I can't remember if it was at a shipper, and it was dark, I remember that, and I had a street light on the driver's side, and it was completely dark on the passenger side, and there was a huge boulder, and it wasn't painted yellow or anything like that, but it was to keep the trucks from the grass, right? And I didn't see that boulder upon approach because I was in training and I was already so nervous. I was focusing on other things, and I went to take the right, and I did not take it wide enough, and the aerodynamic skirt got caught on that boulder and it bent, right? Now, I didn't damage their property. I didn't do anything like that. We could have easily backed up and straightened out the skirt, but my trainer made me report that as an accident. And I was docked 10,000 more miles in training or something, whatever their penalty was. So it's not good to be hitting stationary objects. And I'll say the same for me. When I hit that stationary boulder, the boulder did not jump out in front of me, didn't move in front of me. So those are the times where you got to be really super careful. Get out and look. Know your surroundings and breathe. You know, when you're new, you got to remember to breathe. It's not the end of the world, Chief. We've all been there. People hit shit all the time, right? It's part of, I almost want to say it's part of the process as well. You know, does everybody hit stuff? Well, I think they do, whether they admit it or not. I think everybody hits stuff. I am in Florida currently, picking up a load and heading up to Arkansas for, what is it, Saturday, for a Monday morning delivery. Nothing like not having anyone to answer to, though. I'm safety logs and dispatch. I came from Prime as well. Oh, did you? Yeah. So that is true. Like, you don't have to answer to them, but you also don't have anyone else for a resource. So there's, you know, there's the freedom and then there's the freedom. But good point. Melton was good for me. Terminals in the office. Excellent. Sweet. What do you mean by handicap you? Oh, I think I said handicap, right? What did I say? If I said that, what did I say, Bianca? I'm happy to answer. I don't know. I can't remember what I said. You've been hit 13 times in a truck stop? Well, out or truck, sleeping over the past 13 times. Yikes. And that's the part that sucks, when you are the stationary object and somebody hits you, right? I mean, if I were to hit a stationary object, I'd much rather have it be the yellow post, which they call the yellow deer, than another trucker. I would not want to hit another trucker that's sitting there just getting his rest, waiting to start his day and make more money, because when you hit that trucker, depending on what you do, then he becomes down. It's just, why is my thing saying low battery? Guys, my phone is saying low battery even though it's charging. So I don't know. Hello, Caesar. Lost my def cap today. LOL, shit happens. You know what? I don't know if you lost it. Somebody stole my reefer cap. And I was going through like a lot of rain. So I had those blue plastic gloves, you know, that you can wear them like surgeons do. So I put that over my fuel thing. Wrong thing to do. Don't ever do that, because the guy that gave me a reefer fuel cap said if any of that rubber, plastic, or anything starts to get into that fuel line. The fuel line, if you noticed, for reefer trailers comes up by your engine, and those lines are so like smaller than my pinky finger. They're so small that if you get those clogged, yikes. So you might be able to find a cap that fits, but don't use a plastic glove or something crazy like I did. But you don't know till you know, right? Chief says, you're so lovely, you're like an aunt I always wanted. That's funny because I did this video a long time ago about vaping. You guys, I tried vaping and I was choking all over. I didn't know how to vape. I didn't know how to use it. But because of the title of that, there's a lot of, I will say, kids that see that and they're like, oh my God, you're like my favorite aunt that I never had. So I get that a lot. I get that aunt reference a lot. So I take that as a compliment. Thank you. Backing got a lot easier when I quit giving what other people around were thinking. Texas Trader. That is true. It does. When you are backing, it feels like every eye is on you. And to this day, strictly because I'm a female, every eye is on me. I mean, that's just the way it is. They look for you to fail. They look for you to succeed. They look for you to not hit them. They look for you to... It's every bit. And I'm sure the guys get it from, nobody wants to end up on video on Facebook for twisted truckers or dumbest trucker or, but it's the age in which we live. So, but when you stop caring, yes, about what other people think and you just do the job that you were trained to do, you'll succeed. You'll get there. You'll get there. My first hour after getting off my trainer's truck, I got sideswiped and the car kept going. That is shitty. Texas Trader, I'll get out and put a couple of red Solo cups as markers. Oh, that's a good idea, except for if it's windy. Then what do you do? Are you back to driving? Gorilla, I've never stopped driving other than taking time off for my mom's funeral. You were talking about all the things that Prime offered you and that handicapped you in the long run. Oh, yes. The reason why it handicapped me is because I always had to just make a phone call and poof. It was fixed, it was done, it was remedied, it was whatever. But when I bought my own truck and my very first load, I went down to Dallas, Texas, and my truck breaks down in Dallas, Texas traffic. There was no quick phone call. There was no one to come and quickly get me or advise me. I was like, oh my God. I barely got off of the flow of traffic into right next to the concrete walls there. That's why I'm saying is you become so reliant on the company, your dispatcher. You just go, yeah, this happened. Okay, no problem. We'll let you know in 20 minutes what to do. This happened. Oh, no problem. We'll call you back on what to do. Yes, that's the handicap, is you don't have to figure it out and solve the problem. You simply make a phone call. That was what Prime did for me. It remedied my problem. It's what I needed at the time, but it ended up handicapping me. Oh, you definitely lost it. That's a bummer. Most recently to Wednesday, Emerson GA Loves was on home time. Rear trailer wheels 10 back over the curb and 2.6 away from the mirror, lug nuts, covers, hood. Oh my gosh. That's horrible. Sorry about that. This trucker's life. That's never a good deal. Light pod all damaged. Like post light pod. I do have a PACCAR. What happened? I'm late getting in. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. America's finest backhoe. We've talked about a lot of things. No, every eye was on you because of the trailer, said Prime. Well, that is true too. I drove a billboard for a long time that said Prime. and people that came up from me from the behind, right, as we're traveling, they would hate me. And, you know, I can see them coming in my mirror, and you can tell that they're all pissed off. But then when they get up to me and realize it's a female, they're like, or, you know, one of those things. But the whole time they hated me. Chief, I have not been in Canada before with the truck. Still make a call, just got to figure out. Yeah, I don't have that. Well, I still make a call, but it's not to the company that I'm leased on to typically. So what do you do now if something happens? Who do you call? So over the last few months, I have been developing my own sort of support network, like good mechanics that I trust in different parts of the country that have gotten me through, that really have educated me when I've been broken down. And I mean, like literally, I'll talk about, well, why did this happen? How can I prevent it from, you know, the future? You know, what parts are you looking at? And what should I be examining? And they really just take the time. I mean, it's far more intrusive than just doing your pre-trip, right? Like the pre-trip, yeah, it's a pain in the ass, but it's a portion. It's a sliver of what we should really be looking at. You know, in my book, I look at my truck completely differently now, because if I break down, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. So I look at things differently, or maybe more. I look at more things. Prime is a better billboard than Swift. I don't know. I always said I can't say anything about Swift because I haven't been there, and you know, every company has their drawbacks, but Swift seems to get really hit on. Torch says, I agree. A huge part of being an owner-op is having a good support system like a mechanic. I have a great relationship with an amazing mechanic, and it helps my business tremendously. Totally agree. Yeah, I mean, you really, really have to have somebody you can trust, because, you know, to be able to call that mechanic, and even if you're in another state, they can still advise you because they've worked on your truck. They sort of know your truck. They can tell you the things to watch out for when you go to have it fixed out of state. I mean, it's just an incredible relationship to have, worth its money in gold. Don't screw them over. They won't screw you over. You know what I mean? It's just that whole, just start developing those types of relationships. No different than, you know, when I got my own truck and I started picking up for the same shippers over and over and over again. I have really, really good relationships with them now. And they're large shippers, so even if I went out on my own and went back to them as an owner-op and said, hey, can I pull loads from you? I would not be stealing loads from the previous company I was at or anything else, because they have so many loads that this small company I'm with can't cover them all anyway. So, and it's interesting because I had a conversation with one of them and I said, so how long would my own authority have to mature before you would allow me to take loads for you guys? And they're like, oh, it's not like you're Nancy off the street. You're like Nancy. You've been pulling our loads. We know how you run. We know your safety record with us. Like literally 5 minutes to put your information in the system. And I was like, okay. You have a lust of mechanics on routes. You must have a list, not lust. Only Laloni agrees pre-trip is minimum. Yes. Yep. I mean, if you think pre-trip is a hassle now, maybe, I kind of thought it was like, ugh, you know, you got to do it. But now I totally get it. You know, I mean, I still did it when I was with Prime, because I didn't want a blowout. I didn't want my brakes to go out. You know what I mean? I didn't want to be broke down no matter what. It's totally different now that I have my truck. Totally different now. The gravity of the situation is heavier and deeper and more expensive. It's important I don't break down on the road, because then they really got you. They can charge you whatever they want. Whatever they want. Because they know where they got you. Cooper, you missed a lot. Holy crap, where you been? Some shippers, receivers are a-holes for no apparent reason. I think they're a-holes because truckers are a-holes. Not everybody, but I have seen some a-hole truckers, and I want to give them the side eye, like, what in the world? Like, why do you need to represent like that? It's not even necessary for the most part. But the guy or the girl is angered at something else and it becomes transferred anger. I just think, I don't know. I try to make every encounter I have with a shipper or receiver the most pleasant. Even though they may be rude to me, I try to, stay professional, because I'm going to go out on Google review and I'm going to review your ass. That's where it's going to hit home. So if you guys are pulling up to shippers and receivers, and before you get there, if you're not looking at the Google review for that company, you should check it out, because truckers are really, really taking the time to put comments in there, good, bad, or otherwise. The only thing I would say is, if it's new to you, I would caution you to double, or to question the ones that were, the reviews that were provided during the pandemic, when everything was effed up. Let's face it, right? When they talk about it took them, 12 hours to get unloaded. It was the pandemic. Everything was shut down. So take those with a grain of salt. I would look at the ones that were closer, the last 3 months, last 2 months, last 2 weeks, those sorts of things. But Google review, if you haven't, start doing it. It's really, really advantageous. You'll learn a lot. I mean, if it's got like a different GPS route to get to the truck gate, those are things that are in there. If it's got overnight parking, those sorts of things truckers comment on. It's just really valuable from trucker to trucker. It's in the Google reviews, and that's where I hit home. Like, I remember talking about the security guard at one of these gates, and I think I have 200 likes on that comment, because obviously that's just her nature. It wasn't me, it was her. Because everybody else that's encountering her and goes to Google reviews is also experiencing the same, right? You guys, 78 minutes. I don't know that I've ever done a live this long, and this is the second one of the day. Yes, kill him with kindness. I avoid a tow by those preventative measures at all costs. Tows aren't negotiable for us. And Torch, to your point, I had a blowout. I ran over a sign going across the George Washington Bridge because I couldn't go around it. I had lanes of traffic on both sides of me. And I had to wait for a company to come out to issue a permit to allow a company to come out to fix my tire. Yes, you heard that correctly. Or you can be on certain roadways and you are unable to fix your vehicle on that road, so it's only towable. And that might be what you're talking about, is the roads that you travel are always, you can't repair there. It always has to be a tow. You guys know how expensive tows are, right? Have to check if you have non-compete clause. May say you cannot pull for any customer you went to for 2 years. No, I'm good with that. But yes, that's a good warning for others, but yes. In a free market economy and court appointees that follow that line of judging to get the gig, they say they don't stand up in court. Oh, okay, non-compete. Hello, Robert Carter. So we have an engaging live going on here talking about everything from why do you want to get a trucker and tips for new truckers and how you eat healthy and how you stay, you know, mentally okay, health and wellness. And oh my gosh, you guys, it's been so good. I really feel good like talking to you guys. Like, this makes me want to come back to YouTube and be more involved again, and have like really good conversations that hit on some of the things that truckers face. And oh, I gotta say, I thank you guys. I really do, for being involved and participatory in comments, and that makes a huge difference. Hey, tall guy trucker. How tall is a tall guy trucker, by the way? And living not in the city, right? Right? You guys, I'm telling you what, being allowed to, well, we put an RV at a campground this summer. And so I was going home like every 7 to 10 days to go to the campground. And that in itself was such a respite and needed. 6'7", holy God, you are a tall guy trucker. Do you have to do anything special for your, like, to be comfortable in your cab? Like 6'7". And so that really was compounding to the fact that when I wasn't at the campground, because you know, in Minnesota they close up usually the 1st of October, or at least by October 15th for the most part. Then I was faced to going back to the city every time I went home, and I was like, oh, this is dreadful. Simply dreadful. I'd love to have one-on-one convo with you, but not on YouTube because of its nature. I'm thinking of performing that idea to my truck, if you get my drift. Hey, hit me up on Instagram. 1 inch more in height versus width. We'll see you on Facebook, but we miss you on here. I gotta run. Hey, thanks, LaDawn. I really appreciate you being here. Stay strong. Love ya. So, I'm just seeing if I missed anything. I think I'm caught up with comments, you guys. Like, I'm gonna have a lot more coming to you guys. I just, you know, one of the dare I say it too soon? This is where I get myself in trouble. I'll have something to tell you about. I'm going to shut up. Should I? I will tell you this. It's, I'm going to look at the date because I will screw up. It's November 6th. So, I have been in the process of writing a book. And that book is due out by the end of the month. For sure by ebook, if not by print on demand, like at Amazon. And it really speaks to the conversations that I have when people email me about, oh my gosh, you left your career. How did you do it? You're doing it now. What have you struggled to? It's all of that, right? Now, it's not a super deep dive because I wanted to keep it as an ebook, and people don't have time to read long books anymore, right? They want it by audio. But I'm really looking forward to this because I think it's going to help people that are considering coming in, and especially women that are thinking about coming into the industry. It's not enough for us to see in comments where somebody says, I want to get into trucking, and your response is, then go do it. That's not enough anymore, you guys. We deal with so much out here. The regulations are constantly changing, the mandates, the resources, the trucks, the everything. We have to be a little more thoughtful and engage and try to have a conversation with that person, asking them, why? Why do you want to come into trucking? I'm all for it, but why? And level set their expectations. If they think first year they're going to kill it and make 6 figures, and 2 years later they're going to have 6 trucks, Let's try to level set that. I'm all about having big dreams and goals and, BHAGs, which are big, hairy, audacious goals. But we got to start here, right? Temper expectations. Absolutely. Have big ones. I'm not kidding you. Have big ones. But know what it's going to take to reach that level, because it's not always like, oh, I get my CDL and boom, I have all of this. It's not naturally going to happen like that. I'm not saying it won't. I'm just saying let's do our due diligence and have those conversations. Big goals, realistic expectations. Oh, right there. She killed it. Janae said it. Big goals, realistic expectations. And we're going to end with that. BGRE. I love it. Trucks are repair queens and they cost a lot. Yes, I make $200,000 a year gross, but 25 is fuel and 14 is repairs and so on and so forth. Right? As a woman in trucking, you have a voice. Be sure to mention the bad of trucking, even if not related too much. Parking, lurking, threat of autonomous and carnage and impact on trucking rates, jobs, etc. Cooper, absolutely agree. I take my influence a lot more seriously than I did back in the day. Plus, I've been through a lot more. Plus, I've been at this for 4 years. So over the last 4 years, I've spent an incredible amount of time reading, listening, podcasts, magazines, trucking specific things, courses. I have dug my heels in, not just for myself, but for when I speak to other people, I can articulate what the problems are, the obstacles you're going to face, what I've been through, what you can kind of expect. What are your expectations? Where do you hope to go?